Hello and welcome to another devlog of my game project. This one has taken more time than anticipated because I hit performance issues which led me into a spiral of debugging and optimizing. Even before this update I'd already known I would have to spend some time on optimization at some point, but eventually I was pretty much rushed into doing this now. First major FPS slump was caused by the big number of active agents on the generated terrain, which since this build of the game can be much larger than before. My solution was to disable all agents that were outside of player sight, or at least disabling AI, nav mesh navigation and animation components which required the most processing power. Eventually I may have to go even further and postpone instantiating of enemies until they are close enough to the player. One of the problems was particularly nasty as it was showing up seemingly randomly and turned out to affect the game only in Unity editor and not in the build version. It was something related to lighting, as when I was decreasing radius of some point lights using the scene, like the light emitted from a fireplace in enemy's encampment, the problem was disappearing also in Unity editor. I've also made many smaller optimizations. One of them was to reuse environmental props materials. Before that, every rock and tree had its own material assigned, so if a terrain had contained 100 trees, there would have been 100 new materials created. Now there is just a few materials reused across many objects, which has brought terrain generation time down by half. The positive thing about all the time spent on those issues is that now I feel more confident about detecting and resolving performance problems, what should pay off in the future. For now I've fixed most critical issues, but there are still some performance problems left that I will have to address eventually. Now to the new features and updates. I've added a few new agents mostly by duplicating existing ones and introducing minor changes to them. Wizard, Necromancer, Knight and Archer are all just a reskinned variation of main character. They have more health points and a broader range of skills than a normal enemy, except the Knight, who has only melee attack ability, but takes more time to defeat because of his many health points. Fire and Ice demons are similar to existing demons, except holding a flaming sword. The sword triggers a small explosion when hitting an enemy, and deals area damage to the enemies nearby. You can also see mummies that are a desert variation of a zombie. The player and some enemies can now summon allies and resurrect dead agents. For example, Demon Shaman resurrects demons, Wizard summons fire and ice demons, and Necromancer summons and resurrects skeletons. The main character is a little more powerful, as currently he can resurrect any dead enemy. Summoned and resurrected agents follow you unless they notice an enemy and decide to fight with them instead. If your allies got spread too much through the battlefield, or you just want to keep them close, you can use a new variation of the teleport skill that teleports you and all your allies simultaneously in the same place. In the top left corner of the screen there is a list of agents you have summoned or resurrected. There's a small health bar under the agent's image unless there's more than one agent of that type, in which case you'll see a small counter in the corner of the image indicating the total number of allies of that type. If you resurrect an agent that can summon or resurrect on its own, all the agents that they summon or resurrect will automatically join your team, which currently may be difficult to see as the AI uses those skills only during a battle, when the number of alive and dead allies may constantly change anyway. Enemies have gained improved AI, so now during a fight they utilize more than just one skill. Moreover, majority of them is able to use both range and melee attack, switching to the latter if they are close enough to an enemy. Currently the AI is not really sophisticated, as the agents choose a random projectile to shoot from a predefined list. I've added two new projectile skills, Frozen Orb and Multiple Arrows, which are clearly inspired by the ones from Diablo 2. You can see that the game in the end will require some balancing, as currently the summoned archer obliterates entire fields of enemies. I have continued to work on improving terrains. It's fascinating how adding some additional props like rocks or introducing additional type of a tree can make the area more interesting and immersive. I mentioned earlier that I'd managed to split the terrain into chunks, so now the resulting terrain can be much bigger, as its individual parts no longer exceed mesh vertices limit enforced by Unity. That would be all for this video. Thanks for watching and goodbye.